NBA Youngboy actually reached out to the Prince family and asked the Prince family, hey, what will it take to help that man get out of the contract? I respect it. I respect that, Like, I just can't keep on saying ain't nobody supporting me, because you did. You did. You actually reached out and tried to make that happen. So I gotta take my hat off today and I gotta give you a fly.
J. Prince just sent a message to the entire rap game. And it hit different, because it came at a moment when most people thought this situation was already settled. Finesse2tymes is locked into one of the most ironclad contracts in independent hip-hop right now. And the man holding those keys just made it crystal clear. No amount of money NBA Youngboy popped on the table is opening that door. Not like this. Not on these terms. Here's the full breakdown of what's actually happening. To understand this situation properly, you need to understand who all three of these men are. J. Prince is not just a music executive. He's one of the most respected figures in the entire history of hip-hop. He built Rap-A-Lot Records from nothing in Houston at a time when nobody was looking at Houston as a market. He's navigated industry politics and real-world situations that would have ended ordinary men. His reputation is built on an absolute consistency between what he says and what he does. Finesse2tymes is a Memphis rapper with serious street momentum, raw, authentic, carrying that Memphis DNA that connects hard with a certain audience. And NBA Youngboy is an artist who has always gravitated toward people who feel real, who come from the bottom up, and who carry genuine credibility. When Youngboy started showing Finesse love publicly, people understood the chemistry immediately. But Finesse didn't arrive at this moment of buzz without strings attached. Those strings are a 360 deal with J. Prince, and that's the foundation of everything happening right now. A 360 deal means the label or management company has a financial stake in virtually everything the artist earns. Not just music, but touring, merchandise, endorsements, brand deals, publishing, all of it. In the right situation, it can work in an artist's favor because it incentivizes the label to invest across every area of your career. But when an artist wants to leave, a 360 deal becomes something completely different. The terms of Finesse's deal give J. Prince's organization significant control over where Finesse makes music, who he can formally collaborate with commercially, and how any new arrangement would have to be structured. That's not a minor contract dispute. That's a cage. Now here's the layer most people skip when they talk about this situation. Youngboy and Finesse weren't always in the brotherhood energy you see them display publicly. These two had genuine friction between them. Real tension with roots in the overlapping street and rap politics of the Memphis to Louisiana pipeline. Both men carry credibility from the streets. Both have pride that doesn't bend easily. Both have people around them who operate with a certain code. When that kind of friction exists between two men of that caliber, it doesn't stay small. It pulls everything around it in. The specifics got discussed in interviews and social media posts from people in both camps at the time. There were shots taken. Not the legal document kind, but the kind you feel in energy and alignment. People in those circles took it seriously. And then it ended. The ending of a real beef between men with real street credibility is never just a handshake and a photo op. It's a statement. When Youngboy and Finesse squashed it, you could see in how they moved that this wasn't performance. There was genuine appreciation there. A real recognition of what the other represented. Youngboy's push to get Finesse properly in his corner isn't purely a business calculation. It's a loyalty move. And in the culture, loyalty moves carry weight that business calculations can't replicate. That's what's driving Youngboy to reportedly make moves toward buying Finesse out of his deal. He's not approaching this as a random acquisition. He's trying to take care of somebody who is now genuinely in his circle. But here's the problem. There's also history between Youngboy and J. Prince themselves, and that history shapes how this negotiation is happening. J. Prince has been a figure who has been involved in or adjacent to situations involving Youngboy at different points. The relationship between an OG of J. Prince's stature and an artist of Youngboy's generation is never neutral. There's respect that has to be established and maintained. There are lines that don't cross, and there are moments where the business interests of powerful men don't align, which creates friction that doesn't resolve easily because both parties have too much standing to simply fold. J. Prince has made it clear publicly that he is not intimidated by Youngboy's platform, his fan base, or the resources around him. That's not arrogance. That's a man who has been in rooms that go far beyond what the music industry typically produces, and who has never compromised his position in any of them. Which brings us to what a buyout of this would actually require. Because people keep saying Youngboy has the money to make this happen. And while financial resources matter, this is nowhere near a simple transaction. First, the numbers. A 360 deal buyout isn't just repaying in advance. You have to account for projected future earnings across every revenue stream the label had a stake in, touring over the remaining contract period, merchandise projections, publishing rights, brand deal potential. And because Finesse is visibly rising right now, those projections are not going to be conservative. The buyout number for an accelerating 360 deal can reach figures that even well-resourced independent artists would struggle to absorb without it impacting their own financial structure. Second, money alone doesn't close this. This involves J. Prince, which means the manner of the approach matters as much as the offer. You cannot simply wire a number and expect this to be resolved. The terms of any resolution need to satisfy what J. Prince understands as due to him, not just financially, but in terms of how the situation has been handled and how his position is acknowledged. Coming to a man of his stature to pull someone out of his camp requires coming correct. If that respect isn't there in the approach, the number on the table becomes almost irrelevant. Third, and this is the layer most people completely miss, certain clauses in a 360 deal survive even after a buyout. Publishing rights already established might not transfer immediately. Revenue sharing on existing projects can continue for specified periods. The label may retain rights to recordings made during the contract. New deals Finesse enters into afterward could carry restrictions tied to the original agreement. All of these elements require individual negotiation. Even if Youngboy and J. Prince agreed on a buyout number tomorrow, the actual process of untangling everything a 360 deal binds together could take months. And during all of that, Finesse is in limbo, technically free in name, but still constrained in practice. J. Prince chose to respond publicly to this situation rather than handle it quietly. That is itself a message. When a man of his stature speaks publicly about a business matter, it's not because he feels threatened. It's because he's establishing a record, putting something on the table that cannot be misrepresented later. He's saying to the entire industry, we all see what's happening here, we all know what was agreed to, and those terms are going to be honored. The principle behind that position is the foundation everything J. Prince has built on. When Finesse got his deal, he wasn't at this level of momentum. The deal was struck when J. Prince was making a bet on potential, investing resources and relationships before the rest of the world caught on. The expectation in his world is that when the bet pays off, the agreement is honored. Youngboy arriving after the momentum builds and attempting to redirect that momentum is, from J. Prince's perspective, a challenge to the entire model. That's why he drew the line publicly. Not just for Youngboy, for everyone in the industry watching. And sitting in the middle of all of this is Finesse2tymes, the one person who fully feels the weight of every dimension of this situation. He has a man in Youngboy who genuinely rates him, who wants to invest in him, whose platform could significantly accelerate what he's building. That kind of real support is rare. Artists grind for years trying to get what Youngboy is apparently willing to extend. To have it on the table and not be able to fully capitalize is genuinely frustrating. At the same time, the relationship with J. Prince carries its own value. Being in his camp provides a protection and legitimacy that doesn't have a direct market equivalent. How Finesse navigates this, who he publicly aligns with, what he says and doesn't say, how he carries himself through a complicated moment, is going to have long-term implications regardless of how the contract situation resolves. The culture is watching. And in the culture, how you move in difficult moments says more about who you are than anything you could put in a song. J. Prince is operating exactly within his own established code. Youngboy is operating exactly within his. The question is whether these two codes can find a structure that works, or whether this becomes a long-term stalemate where the only person absorbing the real cost is Finesse. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think Youngboy finds a way to make this happen, or is J. Prince holding a hand that nobody at the table can beat?